I want to give everybody an amazing story. Thank you for joining me on this brief, we call them mini nuggets on YouTube, our YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe because we have a lot more coming up in the future. Several years ago, we were in Israel and we were at a grotto on Mount Zion. Mount Zion is where David built the city of David. It's mentioned, of course, in the Old Testament. And oddly enough, we had heard a story that had come from Ludwig Snyder, who was the editor of Israel Today magazine, of several pieces of pottery that were in his possession that had been discovered inside this grotto. And oddly enough, we don't even know how this happened, but one of the men who was responsible for a school there came out, began to talk to us, and he allowed us to go inside the grotto, down the steps into this beautiful grotto. And it's a cave-like, of course it was cleared out. There was a tunnel going back in the back, and we were able to take pictures of that. And Ludwig Schneider later contacted a friend of mine and said we were some of the first people he knew that actually had taken a lot of pictures inside this grotto. Well, let's talk about what was discovered there. There was a man named Tycho Theos who had discovered some pottery. And remember that in 1967, when Jerusalem was reunited as the capital of Israel after the Six-Day War, there were excavations that began in the area. So in 1969, these pieces of pottery were found, and each piece of pottery in that grotto had a very strange emblem on it. And we're going to show you a picture of it right now. And this is what looks like a Star of David right in the middle of these two objects. However, it's not actually a Star of David. Let me let you look at it again. If you look at the top part, it is the Jewish menorah with a triangular base. Then if you look at the bottom part, it is the ichthus, which is the fish that represents Christianity, and it represented Christianity in the 1st and 2nd century, still does today in parts of the world. And the tail of the fish is intersecting with the triangular base of the menorah, and it forms what appears to be a Star of David. It was later discovered through research that this was more than likely a place where the early Christians had met sometime in the 1st and 2nd century, maybe even under persecution. It was a secret place where they met in the grotto. And what this represented, according to research, is the idea of the Jews and the Gentiles coming together, because the menorah is a Jewish emblem. It was the 7-branched candelabra in the temple and in the tabernacle of Moses. But the fish is definitely a Christian emblem. So when you put these two together as one, oddly enough, it forms this real beautiful Star of David in the middle. And the Star of David, as you know, or it's also called the Magen David, is on the Israeli flag, and it is recognized as a Jewish symbol all around the world. And I wanted to show you this because this was believed to be called the Messianic seal of the early church. So right after the discovery, right after we went into the grotto, we on the Manifest telecast took the 9-branched menorah, which is the Hanukkah menorah, not the 7-branch, but the 9-branch, and we created our own emblem with this, and you see it at the end of the Manifest telecast. Now, what I think this means prophetically is this: 1967 is a very pivotal date. Scripture says that the fullness of the Gentiles is centered around the city of Jerusalem. And the Gentile nations lost their control over that city, and the Jewish people took it as the capital of Israel, to the controversy of some. It's not controversial in the Bible, it's just controversial among some living today with different political ideas. But nonetheless, it is there. And so in the Bible, the book of Ephesians talks about one new man, how that the Lord took the Jews and the Gentiles and put them under one new man. So this emblem, what we call again the Messianic emblem of the early church, was an emblem that was discovered on pottery in the late 1960s in an excavation in this particular grotto. And I've asked my team here to try to find some of the pictures that we can find, if we can find them, because this is 1999 when we were there, or no, it was 1998, I think, the first time we took the pictures. And we have thousands, tens and thousands of pictures. But I want you to see this because the Lord is doing something unique in the earth today, because there's a Messianic movement which consists of both Gentiles and Jews as well. And there's also what we call the Gentile branch of the church. And remember that Peter was the apostle to the Jews and Paul was the apostle to the Gentiles, so this is nothing new. And yet God is bringing us together as one new man under him in the unity of the faith and the bonds of the Spirit of God. I thought you would enjoy this little story. something that happened to us again back in the late 1990s. We were very honored to be able to see this and not discover it, but to see it after it was discovered and see the pictures of it and so on and so forth. And so if you ever see the emblem on the Manifest telecast at the end of the program, that's where it comes from, the Messianic seal of the early church. All right, now listen, we always share something with you at the end of our telecast. Be sure and watch it. We have some new product, new teaching, some things coming together. We'd love to have you ordered. God bless you. Please give me your undivided attention. Many months ago, I began to hear secular economists announce a new global reset was coming. That's when I heard this phrase in my spirit, the American apocalyptic reset. For several weeks, I woke up early and began receiving a series of stunning prophetic downloads that I penned and now have placed them all in my brand new prophetic book, America's Apocalyptic Reset. This book is a must-read for all Christians, for all of those who love Bible prophecy, for conservative Americans and American patriots. The 19 chapters go extremely deep into exposing the agenda now being secretly plotted and to be publicly forced upon us, the American people, and how we can counter it. I discovered some very stunning ancient prophetic parallels and patterns, some that go back 4,000 years, that are repeating themselves in the United States right now. I deal with America's great Babel reset and the planned persecution of Christians, America's self-curse that will eventually bring judgment upon the nation, the coming Jezebel clash, the woman who will be president, how she would react and wisely resist corrupt governments. I reveal the unique Silicon Valley parallels and also go into the plans to bankrupt, then reset America economically. Also, I talk about how to function when the church must go underground. I received a very unique revelation concerning President Trump and a pattern that's found in history. There's a chapter also that I deal with how did the prophets get it wrong, and so much more. Ladies and gentlemen, this is probably the most significant prophetic book in the history of my ministry, especially in the time that we're in. But that's not all. I'm also including my most recent inside information prophetic briefing on 2 audio CDs. It's 2 hours in length, and I will release detailed information that I cannot, and I want you to hear me, I cannot nor will I share this on social media or on television, as absolutely in the climate that we're now in, a lot of this information would be targeted for being blocked and banned if it was made public and not done in this private setting that we're doing it in. These 2 hours contain biblical, political, national, and international revelation and information that I am sure that many of you have not been aware of. It is for truth lovers only. I want you to order right now this prophetic resource package, my brand new book, The Apocalyptic Reset, and the 2-hour prophetic CDs by going online at perrystone.org or calling 1-888-21-BREAD, or write me at Perry Stone, P.O. Box 3595, Cleveland, Tennessee 37320. Now, we're making this available for your donation of $35 or more, and you can request the offer APR-140. That's APR-140. I'm going to unmask the radical globalists and individuals who have set out to oppose and silence Christians, silence patriots, and shut the mouth of conservatives. And we will show you in the book what we can do when we unite together. We are looking forward to getting this into your hands.